In Chapter 30 of Wuthering Heights, it's about 6 weeks after Mr. Lockwood rents Thrushcross Grange. Mrs. Dean hasn't seen Catherine since Heathcliff took her back to Wuthering Heights. Mrs. Dean runs into Zillah on the moors, and Zillah gossips about what's happened since Catherine came to live there. The first thing Catherine does as she arrives at Wuthering Heights is to run upstairs to check on Linton without even stopping to say hello to anyone. Catherine comes downstairs and requests a doctor or help for Linton because he'll die otherwise. But Heathcliff tells her that no one cares except her. So Catherine nurses Linton as best she can. She asks Zillah, Joseph, and Hareton for help, but they all fear Heathcliff and fear losing their spots, so they all refuse to help. The night Linton dies, Catherine is silent and exhausted, having felt only the struggle of death for so long. Catherine emerges from her room after a fortnight, angry with everyone because of all she's gone through. Zillah explains of Catherine, the more hurt she gets, the more venomous she grows. Zillah also tells Mrs. Dean that Heathcliff coerced Linton to sign a will, leaving Thrushcross Grange to him. But since Linton is a minor, he couldn't leave the land. It belongs to Catherine. But having no money or friends, Mrs. Dean assumes, Catherine will not be able to take the house from Heathcliff. Mrs. Dean considers renting a cottage for her and Catherine to live in, but she knows Heathcliff would never allow it. Here, Mrs. Dean's story has ended. Mr. Lockwood tells the reader he plans to go back to London, so he's going to visit Wuthering Heights to tell Heathcliff he's leaving. The novel's structure, using the difference between Mrs. Dean's narration and Zillah's viewpoint, supports the judgment versus pity theme. Catherine seems prideful, but really, she is in a heart-wrenching situation requiring a colossal amount of inner strength. Also, the abusive and violent Wuthering Heights environment strikes again, with its tendency to have a negative effect on every character that lives there. Catherine's predicament, being Linton's sole caregiver alone with the horror of death, is a very gothic scenario. Zillah finds pity for Catherine, but she shuts the door to shut out her feelings. This illustrates how fear is stronger than pity, and it shows how fear creates apathy. Zillah points out that Catherine is poorer than she and Mrs. Dean, highlighting the reality for privileged women from the novel's time. In context, it's better to be a servant earning a wage than a woman of privilege under the rule of a cruel male tyrant, be he husband or relative.